But the Fucale game, I found out like the Washington Capitals tweeted it. I think at like noon our time, and I didn't see it till 2 o'clock. I don't know what I was doing and how I missed it, but I saw it. The day looked a lot better when you see Fucales making his NHL debut 7 years after his original draft day with Montreal Canadiens. Good things come to those who wait. His post-game interviews were unbelievable. It was Bruce Boudreau who was actually on the NBC panel there, and that's funny because Bruce was the old coach of Washington, and he was asking him, it must feel good. This must be a proud moment for your family. This must be a proud moment for your teammates as well. And he goes, yeah, it was great. It was great. You come to times where you want to quit. You come to times where you don't want to really play hockey anymore. You bounce from the East Coast to the A and then eventually get to the NHL. But then you get to the NHL and he's back up. He's not really playing. And he talked about not really being, I guess, motivated. You could see it in his voice. You could see it in his facial expression. And then to actually have that relief of playing the game and then to get a shutout on top of it, it's incredible. And you could just see his you could see almost the doubt in his eyes a little bit when he talked about almost giving up. It reminded me of Batherson a little bit, how he's like, I'm not really sure if I want to play, and then he just kept going, and then he's in the NHL.
I mean, even the fact that it's just the start of itself, just one start that he could get under his belt, that's for a guy who's been around the league and jumping, like you said, from A to E in all these leagues, the fact that he hadn't gotten a start to this point, just one spot start. 3 years after he was drafted, they needed someone to come up. That opportunity never came to him, which is insane because, goalies obviously take a little longer to develop, but to wait, what did you say, 7 years?
I think it was 7 or 6 years.
7 hard years without even, without even so much as, a shot where you're all right, you're playing for us tonight.
Yeah.
It's very inspiring.
And you could see as soon as Zach walked into the dressing room after the win, all of his teammates grabbed water and they gave him a little water champagne shower, just showing their appreciation to how proud they were of him. It was unbelievable. And you could also see in the third period how they were playing. They played great defensive hockey all game, but in the third period, they were blocking shots. They were doing anything to make sure that there was no pucks on net. And it made for an exciting game. It's not really a huge important game. It's a Thursday night in Detroit.
Yeah.
But they made the game was actually so much fun to watch.
It was awesome, man. And the personal connection, I think, to High Button and just Halifax in general and all these things made it very special. You posted a couple pictures of it and stuff, and people were really showing love to it. I don't know, you don't really know 7 years later how much Fucale is still in the hearts of these hockey fans, but once you posted that yesterday, it was pretty clear, I thought.
Well, I never played with him, but I played with people that played with him. Even when McKinnon came on the podcast, he said, he's just a happy-go-lucky guy, positive. Doesn't matter if you're on a 2-3 game losing streak. He was always the guy who walked into the dressing room with a smile on his face, trying to pick everyone up. I think Sawyer Hannay said that too about him. There was a couple other, Trey Lewis said that about him. Anyways, any other guys that we've talked to that have been teammates with him, nothing but great things to say about that guy. And attitudes like that can take you places in the world. You can be a great goalie with a shitty attitude and walk into a dressing room and not have the respect of your teammates. But for Zach just to always have that happy-go-lucky attitude, you can't tell me that didn't have something to do with getting his opportunity in the NHL yesterday. It's just a matter of time before people notice your work ethic, your attitude, your positive energy. After he's getting a no, you're not ready for the NHL. You're not ready for the NHL. You're not ready for this. You're not ready for that. And for him just to block that out, say, nah, you know what? I'm going to keep going because good things are eventually going to happen. And then they do. You can't tell me that doesn't have something to do with it, with that happy-go-lucky energy.
He's probably so happy right now. If he just probably believed in himself. He's like, man, my opportunity will come. And now that the first game's under the belt, then it's kind of the floodgates will get open. But I do want to mention a nice thing about Zach, too, I remember, is when we had Ian in here a couple weeks ago, he was talking about when he did, his 1,000th game or whatever, and a couple of the guys gave him props for that. A couple of the former Moose, and of the big dogs, he named Zach from that team as one of the guys who came back and or sent the video message in. I don't know exactly, but he sent a message to him he was one of the guys from that 2013 team. So it kind of just shows, he still has Halifax clearly in his heart, and like the guy just seems like a good guy, and it's just good
Yeah.
things come to those who wait.
I'll tell you a
Good
funny.
guy.
I'll tell you a cool story about the company. So back when I moved here from Vancouver, I had to get a job. I was living at my parents' place, and I was working at like a Lay's factory up in Bears Lake. And it got to I only last I worked there for like 2 weeks, and I ended up quitting. Didn't tell my parents. So what I would do, like the shift started, I remember at 6 a.m. So I would get up, and like my parents would still be asleep, right? So I'd get up and they'd think I'd be going to the Lay's factory, but actually I'd be going to Starbucks downtown on Spring Garden Road, and
No.
and I would just be DMing everyone I'm not gonna name names, but like I DM all the big dogs, like just everyone, come on the podcast, please come on the podcast. Hey, I'm Justin, I'm starting this podcast, like please come on the pod, like everyone. And Fucale was one of them. This was 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I don't know. And Zach was one of the first ones to respond to me. No idea who I was, what High Button Sports was, just not a sweet living clue of anything. And I remember sitting there. I remember because the Starbucks was getting too packed, so I left and went to the library down the street, the new library. So I'm sitting there, and I'm literally just looking at Instagram for like 2 hours, just waiting to see if people have read my message or
Like
DM me back.
refreshing?
Just refreshing,
Oh,
just refreshing.
dude.
And it was like a Friday, and it was raining, and the last thing you want to do is go home because like. If you're
Damn.
home and then it's just like, all right, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? What's going on? You don't want to go home. So you're just literally like, you feel like you're homeless a bit because you just don't want to go home. You want to like, so I remember just sitting there, like having a bad day, Friday, piss pouring rain,
Yeah.
cold, Halifax, trying to start this podcast. And Zach was one of the first big dogs to message me back. And I
What'd he
should,
say?
man, I might actually still have the message in my. He messaged me. I like in our Instagram. I said, "Attaboy Fucale," and he replied to our DM.
That got you through the weekend, eh? For that week.
I'm trying to see
That
if it goes
DM.
that far back. I completely forgot about this. 15th to 23rd. No, it only goes back to 2018.
Yeah? You've DM'd him since then?
Yeah, we've had a bunch of dialogue together. How long? No longer than an hour.
Yeah.
Nah, there's no message. The message is gone.
The first one. Was it even on the High Button account, do you think? Or was
Yeah,
it might have been on like your I don't know.
I don't know what account it might have been on.
I don't-
No, I'm pretty sure because I wouldn't have messaged him on my
on your
personal account.
right?
I don't think so. Oh, whoa. Wow. Okay, no, you called it.
Really?
It is on my personal
Let's
account.
go.
Okay, so here's what I said. Wow. Okay, so it was May 1st, 2018.
Wait, so set the scene. So you're literally sitting in a Starbucks and you message
No,
him
I was sitting in the. Oh yeah, I was sitting in the Starbucks when I messaged him.
and you message him on your personal, just regular Justin Belanger
Yeah,
Instagram.
7:23 a.m. So yeah. So I'm sitting in the Starbucks, messaging everyone. Just hey, because like the Mooseheads were the closest thing I had to like knowing big dogs. So I messaged like Darcy Ashley, like Stephen Fournier,
Yeah, I get it.
like
I
even
get it.
McKinnon back then, like just
Yeah.
everyone. So I said, hey, Zach, my name is Justin Belanger. I grew up in Halifax. I played for the Mooseheads for a bit before you got there. I do a podcast here in Halifax, and your name came up in conversation yesterday. And I just made that up. Like, his name didn't come up. Like, I'm just trying to, I'm just like, obviously I want it. So then I go, I've heard you're a big talker and could possibly be interested in joining the show. And I made that up too. Like, how would I know if he's possibly interested in joining the show?
Did you know he was a big talker? Were you
I
just
did.
trying to
I did
say,
know he was a
like-
big talker. Like I knew he
Yeah.
was a talkative guy. So then I said, I think we could have a great conversation about your career up to this point. Let me know if you'd be interested. Thanks. And then 4 hours later, he just goes, "Sure, I'm interested." And I remember that message. He's just like, yeah. Like I was like, you're on top of the world.
Wow.
You're on top of the world.
Dude, that message probably got you through that weekend.
It did.
You were probably thinking
Yeah.
Friday afternoon,
It-
like everyone else is like doing their thing, like getting ready to gear up for the weekend, and you had just spent a week sitting at Starbucks. That probably got you through, man.
Yeah, that was May. Yeah, that was crazy. I remember that day. And then, did you see the video of him walking into the dressing room after?
No, I saw the interview like that you were talking about afterwards, but I didn't catch him going in. So what?
So yeah, he just walked in. Everyone like gave him a little champagne water shower, just water bottle. He's Fucale, Zach,
Yeah.
Zach. There's water everywhere,
Mhm.
and then he got the game MVP. You know how teams do.
Oh yeah, the hard
the
hat.
hard, exactly.
Yeah.
So he got like a shield. And he
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, thanks, boys." And I didn't even hear what he said, to be honest. Everyone was still screaming while he was talking. But the post game interview, back when he was out of his gear, like he was in his suit and tie, getting
Right.
ready to get on the plane or whatever to go wherever they're playing next. I love his answer about, um, it's great. At the end of the day, it's just a win. Now it's about getting the second win. Like he took the moment, he loved it for a minute, probably got to enjoy it with his family, and I love how he was right back to business. He's like, yeah, it's great. I'm very happy. I'm fortunate to have my first win. Fortunate to have my first game in the NHL. I don't even think he mentioned the shutout. He was just, I'm happy to be here, and then he was right back to business, and I love that. You don't get to a position like his without getting right back to business, because in his nature, in his business, there's highs with the wins. There's lows with the losses. There's even lower
Dude,
lows with getting sent down to the East Coast.
Yeah, losses. That's what I like. That's the major loss, man. The getting sent down and down and down, like. But like that was my point, man. Like you said, now that he's got the first game, first win, first shutout under his belt, he's just looking forward. He's like, all right, I got my first game done. Time to get like my first half season done. Time to get my first season of backing up done.
Yeah.
Time to get my first starting season. So it's pretty odd. I mean, it was a surprise, like you said. I don't think anyone really. I didn't really know exactly what the situation was with him, but I know that their other goalie just had like, I don't even know what it was. It was like a day off. It said in the fantasy apps. It just says like the Van Check or whoever is starting there now. Just said day off. It said Fucale's spotting in for him. So I don't know what's going on there, but it fell into place for him.
And I like how you mentioned on social media, we posted a lot of pictures of him and videos of him during that actual during the call up, and the amount of likes and shares and comments and support that went towards Zach was tremendous, because his time in Halifax, he's up there with like he's up there with the Conrad Albelscheisers of people that put their time and effort back into the community.
Yeah.
He was up there with because I remember Conrad was really big into going to the hospitals and going to the elementary schools and talking to the fans. I remember being a healthy scratch with the Mooseheads. Same with Conrad was on a healthy scratch. He was hurt, and he actually went down to the common area where like the people are.
Wow.
And just, he had to talk to like 100 people at once, and he just I remember I was with him. I was like, look, Conrad, man, no one's talking to me. I'm going back up to the press.
Did you head down?
Well, I was with him for like 5 minutes, and I'm like, look, no one's talking to me. I'm just gonna go back up to the press box, and he stayed down there. It was like in the middle of the second period. He didn't come back up until like the beginning of the third.
Really?
Like he just stayed down there and talked to everyone, signed every jersey, and I'm pretty sure Zach had that same influence on Halifax as well. I remember when he got back from the World Juniors, he was traded to Quebec, I believe. But the first game, back from the World Juniors, he had to come to Halifax to grab like his stuff from his billet's house or whatever, and he got a standing ovation for that first Moose. Like he didn't go to Quebec yet; he was still in Halifax.
So he wasn't on the team, but he like went to the game.
Well, because like right from the World Juniors, he couldn't fly right to Quebec. He had to fly to Halifax, get his clothes, and I guess the day he flew to Halifax, that was the day like they had a game against, I don't know, God knows who. And I was at that game, and I remember him walking out, and it was Ian.
Oh yeah.
And he, Zach Fucale, welcome back. And it was sold out barn. And I don't know if I've, other than like, there's been some big goals, but I don't know if I've heard a bigger round of applause in the Metro Center. Maybe McKinnon Mem Cup. That might have been a bit bigger. But other than that,
Came from a different place.
it came from a different place,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
But other than that, standing ovation, I don't think I've seen another bigger standing ovation than Zach Fucale walking to center ice right after winning gold medal at the World Juniors. Unbelievable the reception that he got walking into onto the carpet. I think he dropped the puck. Yeah, he dropped the puck for the opening game. It was unbelievable.
He's like, he really is like a legend among the Mooseheads. Like, I just want to say, like, it kind of, yesterday it made me realize like we past few days like we hadn't been seeing each other because it was Remembrance Day, all this stuff. So I was kind of just I always obviously keep up with the social media, but like what you did, you posted instantly. He's starting. You posted. We're gonna get into it, but the other three guys who are friends of the show, who kind of have a connection around here, in the NHL, they were playing, and it kind of made me realize in that moment, I was like, part of what makes like High Button like what I like so much about it is that like it does bring out these emotions and these memories for these Halifax, these Haligonians, as you'd say, like where a lot of these people who were sharing and liking that picture, it got over like 50 likes like almost instantly, like this picture of him starting. A lot of these people don't really think about Zach Fucale. They haven't thought about him. They have memories of him. But then what like High Button's job is to show like, oh, he's starting tonight. And then all these people who have these great memories of him at the Memorial Cup or him playing in Halifax, they like comes back to them, and all the locals like, get back into it. So I think that's kind of like a nice part of like just like posting and like what you do, right? Is just you're reminding people like Zach Fucale, this guy was a Mooseheads legend. You may have forgotten about him in the 7 years, but now you're seeing he's getting his first start, and now he's got all this support from Halifax tonight, and all these people liking it and sharing it and stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, for him to, he really was a legend. I mean, in my mind, three Mooseheads that should be retired in the rafters are Drouin, McKinnon, and Fucale from those 2 years or so, or however long they all played together there. So, like you said, he's gonna get the big ovations anytime he comes back here. I think next time it happens or whatever.
Every time he comes back, we always try to. We've done 2 podcasts with him, and they've both been while he's been in Quebec or Europe or something like that. Because here's my theory on it: every time he comes back to Halifax, he can't relax here because he has to visit people because he's touched so many people's lives here. He has billets, he has fans, he has friends, he has old teammates, he has coaches, management. He's affected so many people in this part of the world, which we call Halifax. Every time he comes here, he has an obligation to go see these people and thank them because he feels so. He feels grateful for this city, for what this city did to him, or did for him, excuse me. They gave him one of the best organizations to play at in the CHL. He arguably played on the best junior hockey team of all time, arguably top 5 maybe. My junior history isn't up to date, but
it's up there. I think everyone can agree
I'm sure
that.
there's some London Night teams
Yeah,
like
for
Laval
sure.
and Lemieux
Couple
played.
in the WHL.
There's a couple all-time great junior teams, but you could arguably say
top 5,
top
7.
top 5, top 7, all best junior teams of all time. And Fucale was the starting goalie for all of that, for that whole run, for those 2 years. Well, he was here for 3 years, maybe 4 years, but the years McKinnon and Drouin were here were those 2 years, and those were unbelievable hockey games to watch. And you could watch Drouin, you could watch McKinnon. I had season tickets the year they won the Mem Cup, and you could watch McKinnon, you could watch Drouin and be amazed, but you were also amazed every now and then on the defensive end with some of the saves that Fucale was making. Unbelievable, and to be rewarded by being drafted by Montreal, craziness.
Hey man, you don't make the World Juniors without having a couple of crazy games. So we can give him his props. It was awesome to see him do what he did. I mean, and we'll just keep seeing how he did. So he has been on the show, right?
He's been on the show twice.
In person?
No, never in person.
Never in
Both
person.
over the phone. Remember one time, I remember the first time he came on, we had technical difficulties, and it ruined my month. Oh, it was back. It was technical difficulties. Like there was like a glitch in the audio. I was oh my god! I don't even want to talk about it.
Is that when you quit doing the online ones, or?
Honestly, it had something to do with it.
Yeah.
I just remember being like, he called in and I put him on speaker, and I was like this, but like the microphone wasn't picking it up as well as I thought it would, and you could barely hear him. There was like crackle in the audio. That's
how it goes though, man.
And then
progress.
And then the second time he agreed to it, but there was something that kind of got messed up in the scheduling, so he had to do it in the middle of a grocery store while he was like on a road trip somewhere or something like that. So he did it in the grocery store, and like in the background you could hear like spill on aisle 4, pickles, Sandy, please get there. And I'm like, where are you? He goes, we're on the road and I'm in a grocery store.
One of these days he'll either be in studio, we'll go to him, and you'll get him on for a legit show, and you can run through it, because that's too funny.
Oh,
we talk about him being being a legend for like 20 minutes, and then we hear.
But that's what I mean. Like the guy
grocery-
will imagine being like on the road in the middle of wherever, and you got to go into a grocery store and do a podcast for an hour with some bum that lives in Halifax. Like he did that. Like he did that for me. And that's little things like that that allow you to be a legend. If you're out there, you want to be a legend. You have to do things for the everyday folk.
Yeah.
And Zach has proved himself time and time and time again. That he cares, and he cares about the people that have supported him all these years in Halifax and to every team that he's gone to, for sure.
Any other thoughts on Zach there before we kind of move on? We'll keep an eye on him. Hopefully, have him on at some point.
Yeah, no, just Zach, keep doing what you're doing, buddy. I appreciate everything that you've done for this podcast, and I know that the hockey community, appreciates everything that you're doing for it. That's the rule of thumb. You're good to hockey, hockey's going to be good to you. Zach has been good to the game of hockey for years, and the game of hockey just
finally,
they just rewarded him a little bit. So congrats, Zach, and we wish you all the best here.